let's move on to Dad's injury, right? So in the episodes, we hear about y'all's experience learning about that and wondering if Dad was okay and learning that he's okay and he's got these injuries. All my life, I thought, he wrecks at Pocono and breaks 2 collarbones, right? Digging into the articles and reading all about other things, it's more than that. He hurt his jaw. He was, eating foods through intravenously for a week or something. These are in these articles, right? There was the helmet was scuffed and that he was dealing with a concussion. That they kept him in the hospital for a week. It took him a whole week before they released him from the Pennsylvania hospital. So the injury in the crash was a whole lot more significant.
He may have been there a few days, but I know Mother and Randy went to Pennsylvania and he checked himself out.
That part too doesn't make any sense to me.
Before
that
he
happened.
got home.
Why would y'all?
Before they got there.
What my first reaction to that is, did they not call Dad and say we're coming up there?
Well, you didn't have cell phones for one thing.
Well, you had a rotary.
True.
All I know is Mother was hell-bent on going. Randy said, if you want to go, I'll take you.
They went.
So they drive up there, and then while they're driving up there, Dad's checking himself out and flew home.
And got on a commercial plane.
And that may have been a few days. It could have been a week.
It was a week.
I just remember that hearing about how horrendous pain he was in on an airplane, a commercial plane, flying home.
Yeah.
But he was hell-bent on coming home.
Yeah. Well, they checked him out, and he goes home. And so, there's a lot of articles that really detail the car, the damage to the car, the helmet, the window net was busted, and Dad's own injuries and doctors and all these things.
And there was a hole in the net.
Yeah, where it scraped the wall, right?
Where it scraped the wall.
Yeah, where the helmet and the wall, the hole. Yeah. So it must have been this really very brief, like, bam, bam, quick. Like, obviously, if he crashes and he makes contact with his helmet to the wall, in most cases, that's going to be a near fatal injury, right? That's a bad deal. But it must have been this very, very brief contact with the wall that his helmet makes. And when I've actually got some pictures of the car sliding down the racetrack after it made contact with the wall, I'd never seen a picture of the car post the crash. It's not up close. It's blurry. It's bad. There's no pictures of the car in the garage after the race. There's no way to look at this thing. There's no way to really know, like, okay, what hit first? How did it hit? Where did it hit? You hear its driver's side. You're just piecing together a very, very limited piece of information.
If I remember right, it was really from going into the corner. Pocono's fairly flat.
Yeah.
And it was back at the tunnel turn, which is flat, and he went in and got loose, and it just slapped the wall driver's side.
Right.
And at that time, technology, he had those van seats in the car, no side bracing, no head support, nothing.
Nothing on the left side of the seat.
Nothing.
Yeah, so you slide right
Never
out.
anticipated hitting the wall on the left side.
No, all right. You thought you were always going to hit with the right.
Yeah.
So looking at this image of the car after it's made contact with the wall, there's very little damage. The back is fine. The deck lid's good. There's no wrinkle bend there. The hood's fine. There's no big bend or wrinkle in the hood. The front's not knocked over. It must have been just a real flat pop. And what's I can't understand is how do you break your collarbones? He must have had them damn things so damn tight. I know he was pretty bad about tightening his seatbelts up to a ridiculous amount.
Well, I think the biggest thing what happened in that case was there was no support on the left, and he just was able to move so much further.
Yeah.
Well, your neck's going to stretch. That was before neck restraints and
headrests.
And all he had was his bubble goggles and his helmet.
Yeah.
Right? Well, that weight of that helmet just snap.
Yeah.
And the sad part for us was, it rained it out, so they had it on Monday. I was on my way home from work listening on the radio, went to commercial, came back from commercial, and he had wrecked.
Yeah.
And they don't tell you how bad it is.
No. Well, they can't.
Well, you can't.
Yeah,
they
can't.
They
They don't even know.
And I think part of the part of the thing with Mother was she couldn't get any information. Every time she'd ask, well, how's Dale? You'd call, oh, he's fine. He's fine. Yeah. Oh, he's fine. And after a day or two maybe of that, she thought, I'm tired of this crap. I'm going.
I wonder he never, how he doesn't get on the phone.
Don't
from
know.
Wherever he's at.
That part I do not remember.
You know that.
I mean,
that
if I'm
control
dad,
world. Yeah, I don't.
If I'm dad and I'm sitting in a hotel room for at least at the minimum 3 days, I mean, if we go by the articles and
hospital room,
I'm just saying if we go by the articles in multiple instances, it tells us he was in this hospital for a week. If I'm sitting in there in the hospital room, I'm calling somebody at some point, right?
Yeah.
And Teresa knows where he's at. She's already there.
She's sitting right there.
Right. And
answering the phone.
Yeah. But I mean, she can call people. Surely there was somebody got a call.
Someone had to be communicating.
I know. I don't understand how Mamaw and Randy drive all the way up there and Dad doesn't know they're coming, and and Dad inadvertently leaves because he gets checked out and goes home. And Mrs. and Dad and Randy and Mamaw get up there and they're like, "Where's he?
Come on, let's go."
It happened.
He's gone. Oh, he's gone. That's strange.
And there's nobody else that can really
that's
verify that.
That's comical part of the whole thing, I guess.
Anybody that knows Dale would have forced himself out.
Yeah, as soon as they give him as soon as they crack the door, he's leaving. Which says a lot about the entries because he was there as long as he was, right? He's going to leave at the first opportunity.
He had to be feeling it.
Yeah, he must have. He comes back, and one of my favorite things to talk about in old racing, I don't know if the young drivers today are as wowed by this as I think they are, but one of my favorite things to talk about is the relief driver situation back in the 70s and 80s. Pretty much every damn week somebody got some relief. And as we'll learn in these articles, sometimes the drivers get back in. Richard Petty would get out for 100 laps and then climb back in, right? All right, I feel better. And so we go to Richmond. Dad sits on the pole. First race back. And Lenny Pond falls out of the race. They put Lenny Pond in the car. You guys did. Great idea because Lenny Pond in Richmond, that's like his best track. He goes out there and finishes top 5, scores some rookie points for Dad. Then you go to Dover, which is probably not a great track with broken collarbones or collarbones that are healing. And I called Bill Elliott. And I said, hey, you relief drove for Dad at Dover. And I was like, you're not on the entry blank. You didn't race. You didn't qualify. How did you get there? Why were you there? I know he raced some races for Roger Hamby in the 17. Roger was in the race. So I thought maybe he just went along with Roger and was just standing around. Well, he said that Jake called him midweek and was like, hey, can you go? Just go to be there. If we need somebody.
Just in case.
Yep. And so I thought, wow, okay. So Bill goes up there. They're running along in the middle of this race, and Dad spins out and doesn't hit anything. And then just a dozen laps or a couple dozen laps later, he spins out again. And I think after the second spin, he's talking about being tired. And Jake's like, come on in, get out. And so he gets out, and Bill Elliott gets in, and then 100 laps to go, because they ran 500 laps at Dover back then. It's like a long race. Dad gets back in. I just think that's so funny that y'all are like 8-10 laps down, running in 8th or 10th, and Dad's like, yeah, I'm good. I'm gonna get back in there. Like once you get out, you just think you just stay out.
Yeah, there was no reason to get back in.
I know,
he
right?
got the points for starting.
There's no point to get back in it.
Right, that was the only reason he started.
It's just interesting to me.
But it's Dale.
That's Dale.
I could go do better than that.
You would think finally now he's in the pits like you were with Jake. And Jake would be like, yeah, no, you're not going in.
What's he doing? What's he saying about the car?
Yeah. Yeah. I thought that was pretty interesting. But he ends up, coming back and finishing out the year pretty good, pretty decent. So clawed back into the Rookie of the Year battle, which, Milliken led multiple times throughout the year, but he climbs back in. His best 15 finishes, and he put together enough points and with the win at Bristol to rightly win the Rookie of the Year. Hey, if you like that video, like and comment below, and don't forget to subscribe so you'll never miss another piece of Dirty Mo Media content.